Hey y'all, welcome back to Twin Oaks Family Farm in rural southeast Ohio, USA. I'm Melissa. Thank you for joining me. We are in our grower pen with a flock of Cornish cross meat chickens that are 28 days old. We're raising a flock of approximately 100 during fall of 2023 to finish up our production year of Cornish cross meat chickens for poultry production. So gonna do a video, actually gonna focus on one individual in the flock that is going to, I'm sure, end up being a flock loss prior to processing. So this is day 28. We did a video on day 27 and shared that we had lost a bird on day 27. So that was 100 birds minus one, took us down to 99. And in that video, I think I called it 100 minus one broilers, 27 days old. And in that video, we didn't get to show another bird that I referred to, but I mentioned that we had another one kind of on our radar on watch. Pretty sure that bird was experiencing the progression of ongoing heart failure. Let me finish that thought first. So ended up, that bird had died overnight in the grower pen from day 27 to day 28. So now 100 birds minus two, we're at 98, and we still have one more that is on our watch list that we're gonna take a look at. And you basically over like when you pick up indicators that you have a bird that is well into a progression of chronic heart failure, by the time you pick up some indicators of that, there's really not much you can do to reverse it or to change the outcome. And when you start to pick up those indicators, our experience has been over about 2-3 days max, 1, 2, or 3 days, 3 days max probably. You see a progression of symptoms and you see the bird basically gradually but quickly decline. And you could go ahead and cull the bird. We try to err on the side of caution and consider that we could also be wrong and watch the bird over a day or so. But if it gets to a point where it is inevitable, we will choose to cull a bird. But generally, by the time the symptoms really express as indicators, probably within 24 hours, we end up with that bird having died, being a flock loss prior to processing. So what is the root of this? So I really didn't explain that when we did the day 27 with this flock, and want to take an opportunity to explain what can happen and what we think has happened with this flock in particular, why we're seeing this now at 4 weeks old. What can happen with meat birds is if they get temperature stress, particularly chill stress, in the first few days of their life, in the first few days of our production cycle, that starts a stress on the heart function and on the bird as it's growing. And so it won't be immediately mortal to the bird, but it can catch up with them later on. So if you see a bird in particular that gets chill stress the first 3 days of production, you're going to see increased mortality in week 4 and week 5 from heart failure. And the heart failure is going to present as an acute, ACUTE, an acute as in sudden heart failure, but actually it probably is a chronic ongoing progression of heart failure that initiated back in the first couple of days when the chill stress occurred. So it's hard to kind of understand that, but we have seen that's how it ends up turning out. And the reason that I believe the initial chill stress in the first few days becomes a heart problem that appears sudden at like week 4, week 5 is because these birds, even though they've grown rapidly the entire time, they actually grow even more rapidly the last couple of weeks of production. So they're still converting feed to meat. At this point, like week 4, they've pretty much gained most of their frame size that they're going to get, that their physical composition is capable of, but they're going to continue to convert feed to meat and pack on ounces, which enough ounces culminates in pounds, right? So my take on it, my impression of it, having raised these birds a while and seeing how those circumstances can play out, is that heart function, even though it's stressed, can keep up with sustaining life and maintenance and the growth between the beginning and turning 4 weeks old. But then when that growth accelerates even more, really kicks into high gear, week 4 and week 5, that heart cannot keep up with that, and we see this heart failure. So we are going to take a look at one bird, spend a few minutes talking about why this bird is on our watch, and then finish up with just looking at the rest of the flock and kind of assessing how they're doing. And this is one of our later in the day well checks with our birds, so we aren't closing up the building for the evening yet, but we're getting there. So we're monitoring water usage and water consumption, feed consumption, flooring and bedding condition, temperature and ambient conditions. So we're monitoring all that stuff as we're getting near to the end of the day. So we had a busy day on the farm today. A lot of poultry sales today. So it's been a great day meeting customers. So let's kind of pan around. I think I did mention on day 27 that we do frequently see Cornish rock cross meat chickens resting a lot, and that actually is not something to just assume is a bad sign. It doesn't mean necessarily that the birds are sickly. If they still look perky and in general when they're awake have a posture with their head up, and they still maintain a circadian rhythm of going to food, going to water, and overall as a flock the water and food consumption is strong, and the manure from the birds looks normal, like what we expect from chickens, then you can assume that that's a healthy flock. So yes, like here in the camera, all those birds seem to be resting, but those in general, to me, appear to be very healthy birds. On the other hand, so before we go to on the other hand, why would I say they appear to be healthy birds? Their breathing does not seem stressed. I have seen them get up. I've seen some of them at food. I've seen some of them at water. Their feathering looks nice and sleek, and their skin, where I can see any exposed skin that's not totally covered by feathers, looks healthy, pale pink. And we also assess the combs and the wattles, and which is hard for you to do on camera. But if those look bright, they're not necessarily going to be bright in color, but they have a healthy appearance in skin tone, skin color. This chicken here, this breathing is normal. That's a normal respiration in the chicken. So things look normal here. So what about a chicken that does not appear normal and thriving to me? This one. And so the way it's laying, we're not going to get a super great look at it, but you can see how in general, when you look at the rest of the flock, they look pretty comfortable, and their feathers, look sleek and laid down. But when we look at this one, the feathers are puffed out like it feels a little bit cool. It's trying to keep itself warm. Also, mentioned the breathing over there and one under the light. Look, those are all eating. Now, this one did get up, so that is a very good sign. But I still feel like it looks kind of drawn in its physical stature compared to the other ones. And if we could get a look at the skin, which you can't get much there, but where we can see some exposed skin, it is actually taking on a darker red, purplish, bluish cast, and the feathering is real frizzled on the back of the neck, and the bird just looks a little bit uncomfortable. We also see the comb and wattles kind of look just a little dull. But this one is still moving around. So, we'll continue to try to keep this bird going to water, going to food. This is a heart distress issue. This is not a pathogen issue. So I'm not concerned about a pathogen risk. I am concerned about how that bird is doing, though. And there's a progression of heart distress there. So those are some things that would get a bird on our radar to be watching. But that's very encouraging that it is getting up, moving about the pen. It is going to where it wants to to be in some warmth, supplemental heat. So, you know, maybe it is just cool, and that's why I say we err on the side sometimes of humility. But I do see that skin tone, you know, taking on that bluish, darkish red cast that's not that healthy pale pink. So on the other hand, 98 other birds at this moment appear to be going strong. Again, you know, week 4 and week 5 here, we just don't know what to expect. It was 28 degrees the first night. Some of them, the first night this flock moved in, so did some of them get chilled? Possibly. Stay with us and join us in another video.